Welcome to Come On You Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Tottenham. Today we are looking ahead to the match between Nottingham Forest and Tottenham taking place at the City Ground on Friday. It's a late Friday kickoff, and Tottenham will be starting the Week 17 round of fixtures in the Premier League. To join us to review that is Truma on the other side, and in the meantime, come on you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs, indeed. Welcome back. Truma, how are you? It's good to have you back.
Well, yeah, wonderfully good. Wonderfully good. It's always great to come on the show after a victory. Now, wonderfully good as always. It's a wonderful week to be a Tottenham fan after the demolition of Newcastle. Looking forward to the Forest game, a Friday game. I don't know if we've played any Friday games yet. Maybe we have. But yeah, looking forward to this one. As always, there's housekeeping to be done. If you're new to the channel, welcome to Come On You Spurs TV. We just ask you to just subscribe. For those of you who are regular viewers, smash the like button, comment, hit the notification bell so you'll be alerted every time we bring out new content. And as always, we are Come On Ye Spurs.
Come on, ye Spurs, indeed. Like I said, right. So we're back. Forest have been on a poor run so far. They lost. I think they drew their last match, didn't they? And before that, they'd been on a run of about, 7 or 8 losses, or maybe one win out of 9 or something like that. So very, very poor run they've been on. I think their last victory at home was against Villa, which was a big scalp that they sort of drew there, which surprising result for the Neutrals, because a lot of people expected Villa to go there and come away with a victory, but they actually played very well on that day and gave Villa a really, really good game, and Villa were not in that match at all. So they're not a team you can trifle with or assume that because they're in the position they're in the league at the moment, that you can just walk away and just get there and, come away with the result. However, if we look at how Tottenham have played over the course of the season so far, this is week 17. I can only count one match where the levels haven't been as high as they've been all season, and to have us having our players back, on paper, it looks like a positive outcome, doesn't it? What do you reckon?
I think it will be a positive outcome because, like I told you before, off air, that you're always looking at the danger people or danger players of a particular team. And with Forest at the moment, one of the striking things you understand is the striker Taiwo Awoniyi, who is a Nigerian international and plays for Forest, came from a German club. Before that was Liverpool. He's been like the focal point of the attack. He's the one who holds the ball up very, very well, links into the attack, and their creative player, Morgan Gibbs-White, really feeds off playing with Taiwo more. His absence, he's I think he has a pelvic and hip injury that's is going to heal next year or something like that. So that's taking a gloss off. Serge Aurier as well. You're always fearful of the old boys coming back to Tottenham. Serge Aurier is out as well. And another impressive piece is a defender, Murillo. It's like a second season curse for a promoted team, where they've managed to stay up. You expected them to probably, more or less like solidify themselves in the league. And for whatever reason, it's gone the other way. And their manager is under a great deal of pressure as well. We also took Brennan Johnson from them as well, which it might seem like an insignificant thing, but Brennan Johnson was really what they had going forward. So you had Taiwo Awoniyi, you had Brennan Johnson, and you had Morgan Gibbs-White. Now you're left with 2 of them. In fact, you're only left with 1. I think only Gibbs-White is playing at the moment. Awoniyi is absent. So there are a lot of issues going on at Forest. Tottenham have looked like they're turning it around after the Newcastle game. We're flying high in terms of how the morale in the squad, because this win, like you said, has been coming. Apart from the Wolves game, we keep going back to that game. That's the only game where we didn't see Angeball. Every other game we've seen Angeball in bits, parts, or large segments of the game. But Wolves was the one game where we didn't attack. We sort of went back into Conte mode, if you will. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup between Nottingham Forest and Tottenham. And yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm thinking it's a Tottenham victory, but this is the Premier League.
Yeah, if we look at the form of Tottenham over the last 7 matches, we've only won 1 in 7 and drawn 1 and lost, I think, no, 1 in 6, I think. We lost 4. This looks like one of those matches when, on the face of it, we should be able to navigate this relatively comfortably on the face of it, because if you look at the what you might call on current form, historical antecedents, and how things have gone on in the past, and all the stats, if you like, suggest that the run of matches we've got coming up, or fixtures we've got coming up, should be easier, and hopefully we'll come away with better results next few 4 or 5 matches. But you and I know that football doesn't quite work like that all the time. Take one match at a time, and that's the next match here. We have Forest. Forest can be, because they are struggling. The managers under pressure, presumably from their owners. And I'm not surprised, because football is a results game, and if you haven't won a lot of matches in 9, it can in itself create pressure when a lot of those matches were actually losses as opposed to draws, or So yeah, they're under a bit of pressure to perform, and they're at home as well, so they would have a lot of home support. And I remember when they're last year in the League Cup and we lost, so they're not a team to be trifled with at all. So I'm mindful of that, but I still expect us to go there and impose Angeball on them, and hopefully that will give us the victory that we're looking at. Now, in terms of formation, it's what do you think will play out there? Because now Ange seems to be having more options to play with size back. You've got that midfield quartet, if you like, of Højbjerg, you have Sa, you have Bissouma, you have Lo Celso, and Skip. Okay, granted, Skip might be a junior member of that quartet, if you like, and you have the young man Donnelly, who hasn't really played anything such this season, but at least he's an option as well. And I don't know if he'll get a run out either on the soft bench or coming later in the match, depending on how the match pans out. But you can see that things are beginning to sort of gel together. Roselso is playing really well. Is fitting into that role and is scoring a few goals. Scored a couple of goals so far this season. Sa missed a few chances, and you can see that. If he gets in better positions, he will score more goals. And we have the inverted wingers, right, in Udogie and Porro, who have been absolutely fantastic in the last few matches. And you don't see this anything other than a Tottenham victory. What do you think?
Yeah, well, for me, I echo everything you said just now. It was a masterstroke last game, moving Richarlison into the middle. Everyone expected him to play wide, but then you hear the explanation afterwards from Ange Postecoglou that the only reason he played Richarlison out wide was because Richarlison had that injury. And Son now reiterates by saying it's the same thing Son suffered as well. It stops you from really extending yourself when you try and shoot, or you dribble and try and shoot or release the ball. But if you're in full flow, it's easier. So it was better for him to play out wide. I think Ange Postecoglou fancies Richarlison as a central striker. And I think possibly going forward, it's going to be Richarlison playing striker, Son playing left. And then if it's not working out, take Richarlison out, put Son in the middle, and then bring someone else out wide. But I think it's going to be the same lineup. It's hard to see why, or it's hard for Giovanni Lo Celso, because I thought he played very well leading up to the Newcastle victory where he was dropped. But I understand the reason why is partly to do with his fitness and his injury record, that he has more chances of being vulnerable to injury. So just manage his minutes. That's why they were also taking him off. Like in the West Ham game, while I was in the stadium, you could hear the groan of the crowd when they took him off. Like some, they were like, "This guy's the most creative guy," but you need to manage this guy because without Madison, he's probably the only one who can play really good through balls. And Kulusevski plays it different. I don't think we need to unleash him against Forest, Lo Celso, but he'll be good coming on. Same as Højbjerg as well. I think Højbjerg struggles to get used to Angeball. And that doesn't mean that Højbjerg is not a very good player or he's not, he's not a good player. His attitude is wrong. It's just that he can't. His abilities do not line up, in my opinion, with Angeball. Because we just saw Sarr come in against Newcastle, and Sarr was just a revelation, covering ground, getting into the box. You'd never get that with Højbjerg. You'd never have, and Bissouma is less panicky with Sarr next to him. So you can quite clearly see he tries very hard, but he's very good at bringing him on when the game is either won or you just need to stabilize the game a bit. If you need to stabilize the game, then you bring him on. But Højbjerg and Lo Celso might be substitutes in this game. Jamie Donnelly, I don't think he'll get that many minutes. I think Brian Hill will come on before him. But it'll be interesting to see, based on what the scoreline would be, if Spurs are clinical early, then a lot of the bench will get a chance. That's my thoughts on that.
It's good that you mentioned that clinical early, because if you watch our games before the Newcastle game, we went ahead and we kind of blitzed teams very, very early in the game, only for them to come back and turn it around. Now it could be a mix of, you know that in this game, if you don't take your chances, come back and bite you, and that seems to be the refrain we've had this season, game after game. We might turn that around with, scoring the goals early in the match against Newcastle. What are the chances of us keeping up that pressure of consistency of actually, killing games off? I think one of the things anyone watching as a neutral would say is that, look, you guys are creating chances, and the more chances you create, the more likely you're going to score them from a statistical point of view. But so we also have to be a lot more clinical. I think if we get that precision right, or get it more consistent in being precise, I think I'm very, very excited for the prospect for the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, you're right. And also, like I've been listening to a lot of other podcasts and reading some blog articles, and I think the only cause for concern now is people think that Cuti Romero is being a bit, the red mist is descending yet again. And everyone thought that he'd gotten it under control. He's cost us so much in the opinion of so many fans with what he did at Chelsea. Romero getting a red card now is going to be a 4-game ban. So it's like, you could see things happening in that Newcastle game. He got away with 1 or 2 that you're like, look, young man, you need to calm down. And then you get the comment of his Argentine teammate, Emi Martinez, the goalkeeper for Aston Villa, saying, oh, he recognizes that thing in Romero. Romero plays the edge, but he always warns him that, listen, if you get red carded, I'll kill you because you left me exposed. And Romero would calm down. I think right now, Ange should speak to him a bit about calming down a bit, because he doesn't need to do this. He's that good that he can get the ball off you. But I think part of it is also an intimidation factor, because if you watch the game closely, you notice that Anthony Gordon of Newcastle got rid of the ball. As soon as he saw Romero coming, he just gets rid. He doesn't want any bit of Romero trying to tackle. So you look at it, like he's trying to intimidate. He's getting into the heads of certain players. Romero needing to calm it down. That he's a brilliant player, but my goodness, that red mist, when it descends, it can throw our entire game into disarray. And I think Ange should have a word. You don't want him to stop being who he is, but he has to adapt himself to going, look, you can't go 2-footed into people. Like, you do that first 5 minutes. The Vinnie Jones principle, as they say, first 5 minutes, you commit the worst foul on the player. and then walk away, and then you own him
You
in
just
his
sort
head.
of leave your mark. And I think he did it against Haaland as well in the match. I think last season that we played at home, and Haaland just sort of kept away from him. You know,
First 5 minutes, Vinnie Jones, you damage the guy, and then when you damage him, then you walk away, and now you're in his head forever. You don't need to tackle him again. Just make your presence known.
it just reminds me of a clip I was watching earlier on in the day of how a few clips of how Ronaldo kept getting fouled by different players, you know, and he just sort of, you know, he was like a victim of so many bad tackles. I mean, in his game, like, that's what happens to skillful players. However, he just, I was going to talk about very quickly about, you know, I don't know if you know this, but there's this comment from Callum Wilson about Vicario. What was that about? I mean, do you know?
I mean, we'll call Vicario. Vicario is Vicario, and on the pitch he becomes Venom. So it was Venom that Callum Wilson met. He thought he was meeting Vicario, but he met Venom, and he made a save, and he just, you know, made a gesture towards him, and he was like, oh, you know, but Callum Wilson, to be fair, he was saying, oh, well, you know, you don't need that on a pitch. You don't need that. You know, you respect your fellow players. But everyone's going, well, that isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? You know, here you and your friend Michael Antonio made fun of Richarlison for no reason. Yes, Richarlison hasn't scored. Yes, he had that horrible thing record. Now we find out he was carrying an injury for a year. He had mental health issues from being, you know, pressed by family members over the fortune he's now making. Loads of things that led to, you know, mitigating circumstance. What's his name? The striker not score goals, and Richarlison not score goals, and they didn't take that into consideration when they mocked him. They openly mocked him. Even when he replied, they mocked him again, saying, "Oh, it was banter." Well, this is on-field banter by Venom. So welcome to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and welcome to meeting Venom.
Welcome to reality, eh? Reality TV.
It is. I understand what he's saying, but you can't be in a glass house and throw stones.
This is it. So yes, Callum Wilson, suck it up, boy. Like a lemon. Right. So scoreline.
Whoosh, 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 whoosh. I don't know. You know, you say what you want to say. I would say 3-0. I think with Spurs now, it's a case of we have to score more than 2 goals to be certain, or we have to score at least 2 goals. So I'm going for anything above 2 goals. So I'll go 3-0. I actually think we can keep a clean sheet against Forest. So I'll go 3-0.
I'm actually going to go, you know, nuclear and say something like 5-1, you know. And the reason I say that I said that for good reason. Let me explain why.
Wow. That's now, Optimus next level.
I know, right? We have been creating opportunities, you know, and those opportunities have to come at some point. And it looks like we've gotten that little groove back, you know. Richarlison back in the groove. Son playing a blinder. Kulusevski, unbelievable, you know. Sa, Bissouma, everybody's firing on all cylinders. Porro, Udogie, you know, the only missing link, even I wouldn't even call him a missing link because that would be disrespectful. It would be Davies in that back line. But even then, he's been absolutely fantastic.
Oh, he's been brilliant. Everybody has praised him.
So it's like I'm trying to figure out how those guys can sort of have a chance, because the way we play, I looked at the way we played against Newcastle. We had them hemmed in the first 45 minutes in that first half, you know. They couldn't get out of there. And the pressing was absolutely unbelievable. Now, I don't see Forest having the same level of skills of players of all the teams we've met so far. You know, they don't match any of those people. However, I know that that's not how these things work in reality. But I just don't see it. You know, that's why I've said, look, I think it's going to be a really good hiding. And I'm not being disrespectful to Forest. It's just that the form that those guys are on now, I think they will really, really kill it this time around. That's my perspective.
So you rank it close to like what we did against Burnley.
Exactly, if not better, you know. Yeah, so that's what I think. and they'll be under pressure. Like I said, like because what's his name? The coach, Mr. Cooper, is under pressure. So he probably want them to attack at home. That will be to their peril, Anyway, yeah. So that's us from here. Thank you guys for joining us for today. Those are predictions for this week's match. Away to Forest. 8 o'clock kickoff on Friday evening. We'll be here for the post-match aftermath, or we call it 90 minutes unplugged. So we look forward to seeing you then. I hope Chuma can join us as well. Yeah. Any final words, Chuma?
Well, looking forward to Angeball chopping down the Forest.
Angeball chopping down the Forest. Is that correct? Okay, that's a good title to give this episode, isn't it? Angeball chopping down the Forest. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next or on Friday. Yeah. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.